Okay, I wanted to go over how to download an animated character from Mixamo and bring them into Maya. So what you'll want to do is to come over to Mixamo. Now, Mixamo is a place where you can download some characters with animation. It was bought up by Adobe, so it's an Adobe site. If you already have an Adobe account, then you can just log in. If you don't, you can sign up. It's a free account, and so then you just log in. Okay, once you log in, you'll get to a screen like this. Now, this is just a little dummy character, and when you're on this animation tab up here, you can click on any of these, and then it will automatically animate the character doing these moves. Okay, so you have all different kinds of animations that you can actually download. So what you're going to want to do is to first get a character. So you can click this character tab, and then you can go over here and you can click on characters, and of course it'll give you a warning each time that you're switching the character. So you can get any kind of character you want. There's lots of characters in here. Let's see, there's like 3 pages of characters. Okay. Excuse me. Once you've got the characters, then you can go to animations, and then you can decide what kind of animation you want. Okay, and so whenever you click on one of these, then the character is going to do that. You can also do a search in here, so I'm going to do a search for a walk, and then you can pick any kind of a walk that you might want to pick. Okay, I'm just going to pick this one right here, walking. Okay, and then on this preview over here, you can click this in place, and then it will animate, the characters just walking in place. Okay, so once you've picked a character, a nice walk like this, then you can download it. Okay, so I'm going to stop this, and I'm going to click download, and the default is an FBX, which is good. Okay, with the skin, so that'll bring, it'll get us an FBX file. It'll have all the textures with it, and 30 frames a second. That's what video is, and you can do some keyframe reduction. We don't really need to do that, so all you have to do is click download, and then it will download the character. Okay, so so you'll end up with an FBX file. Okay. So now all you have to do in Maya, just make sure you have a new file, and go File. You're going to go Import, and then you'll need to go over to wherever you downloaded it. I downloaded my downloads folder, so here it is, and you import it. Now, when you import it, it's going to look like it's really huge. Okay. What we want to do is click on it, and in Maya, if you hit F, that will frame it. Okay, the character is not really huge. This little girl is probably maybe about 5 feet tall or something, but because of the grid, it looks like it's really big. So what you can do, you don't have to, what you can do up here, which is what I do, is you want to go up here to Windows, Settings and Preferences, go to Preferences, then click on Settings, and right here on centimeters, change it to feet. Once you change that to feet, then the grid will be bigger, and it looks more like what it actually, the size the character is. So, now I did notice that when bringing into Maya, these characters seem to really be walking really fast, and so we can deal with changing that. Okay. So what we want to do is to go open up the time editor. Okay, where that is down here on your animation. You can see graph editor, dope sheet, and time editor. Click on that. Now what we want to do is we have to bring the character into the time editor, and what we want is not the character themselves. What we want is this Mixamo where it says hips. This is the bones, so we want to bring the bones in, because that's what's actually animating, is the bones. And so then you can click the center button right here, and that will bring that in, this clip in. So this brings all the keyframes in. Now, since it's this is animating on 30 frames, what I want to do is slow it down. I'm going to guess at about 90 frames. So what I want to do is down here on my time frame slider down here, let's type in 90 frames. So it's 90 frames long. And then over here where you go view, go here frame playback range, and then it will bring that 90 frames in here. This button right here, okay, scale mode, if you click on that, then it'll allow you to grab the end of this and drag it over to 90, and now the person will be running over 90 frames. If you think that's too fast, fine, let's try 120. Go 120 here. View, do 120. Let's bring it to 120. Oops. And that's a little bit better speed. I like that better. Okay, so there we go. All right, now on the character themselves, you need to click this button right here, which is textured, and then you'll be able to see that the character actually is textured. Okay. Now what we need to do is to light the character and put a stage for the character. Okay, so we don't need the editor anymore. So we can go to, let's go to the top view. And let's create a plane. We just create a plane here. Make it fairly big. And let's go ahead and move it. Just kind of center it. And then if we go back to our perspective view, I'm going to go to edge mode. And then what I want to do is hold down the shift key. I want to be in my select tool. And then I want to click this back edge here and the back edge here. I'm holding down the shift key to add to these. Then with the move tool, hold down the shift key, pull up the arrow, and I want to create quads that are about the same size as what's on the ground. Okay, then we go back to object mode, hit 3, and that'll create us a little cyc wall for the character to walk on. Okay, we're going to want to create a light. We want to use an Arnold light. We want to use an area light. And we want to pull that up. By default, they're really small, so we'll want to scale that up. Something about like this. Now, the size of this, and this confuses people, the size of this reflector, the light is coming from the reflector, does not control how much light is in the scene. It controls how sharp the shadow is. The smaller the reflector, the sharper the shadow. The bigger the reflector, the softer the shadow. Okay, so now we're going to want to rotate it's pointing backwards, so we're going to want to rotate it. And what you want is on the X, we want a minus 90, and then the light is pointing down. Okay, you can see there's a little line, and that's which way the light is pointing. And then we want to pull it up a little bit, something like this. Alright, so now let's go ahead and pick the character and fit the character. And then we can turn on our safe frame so we can see through it. Okay. Something about like this. Now we want to play it and make sure the character's not stepping off the screen. You can see the character stepping off the screen here. Okay. Oops. And what I want to do is go to my zoom tool. Okay. Let's go to dolly, and let's just dolly it back a little bit. Looks like I might need to pull that edge up a little bit more. I wish Maya had a select edge tool, but it doesn't. Okay, so now make sure we're not looking down on it. We want to be looking at the character, okay? All right, we want to get as close as we can to the character. So we'll kind of just dolly the camera a little bit. Okay, now to set up the render, we're going to go to our render settings. By the way, it's this little icon right here. We want to go down here on your size. We want to do HD. Let's do 720. That'll be 1280 by 720. And then we want to, right here, your image format, we want to do PNGs. You'll give a name right here, okay? It's going to say the girl, okay, whatever you want to call it. Now, you need down here where it's the frame, animation, and extension. What you want is the one down here at the bottom that is the name, whatever the name is, it'll be girl, underscore, the number dot extension. That's what the numbering we want to use. Okay. Right here is where we're setting the frame, the range that we're rendering. So we want to start with frame 0 and we want to end with frame, we did 120. Okay. And there we go. Okay, we're rendering through the perspective. We can make that into a camera if we want to, but it's not necessary. And then when you go to render, okay, where a lot of people make a mistake is they go batch render. You do not want to batch render. What you want to do is render sequence. Then this is the camera. Of course, we're rendering through the perspective. And then right here, we're telling it where we want to save the files. So go ahead and decide where you want to put the files. And I'm going to put it in this render folder right here. So select that. And then when you hit render sequence and close, then it will start rendering. Okay, so one thing I forgot to do, and we didn't test this, is we didn't set our area light intensity. And on your intensity, let's say 150, which is basically like a 150 watt light bulb. Your exposure, maybe around 10. Let's go ahead and do a little test render here. So let's bring up Arnold view and do a little test render. Oh yeah, about the character. Okay, couple of things. On the texture on the character, we want to replace that because the one it comes in with is really shiny. So what we want to do here is pick the character. I go into your material editor. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to replace this material here. So what we want to do is to come in here and go to shaders, Arnold shaders, and what we want is the AI standard shader. And then we're going to plug all this into the correct places. Okay, so this is your normal map. So that will go into normal down here. This is a glossiness. Okay, so this will need to go into your, let's see what all they got here, diffuse, specular. Okay, so here's specular. So go into specular here, and this is your diffuse, which is your base color. I don't think I really need this. Yeah, I don't really need this glossiness. So, oops, actually delete that bump. Okay, then we want to apply this to the character. So pick the character and then assign this to the character, and then on this, okay, make sure you have this selected, and then you want to go over here to your specular and your roughness. You want to turn it up to maybe about 0.6, and then we actually want to put us a texture on a material on this background also. So we'll get another AI standard surface. We'll call this one background, and we'll pick the background and apply this to the background, and then you want to do the same thing. Okay, that's a little bit better. It's still too glossy on the ground. Also, we want to move the light in front of her a little bit. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and let's pick the light and let's move it up in front of her a little bit so the light will be coming into there. Let's see how that works. Still needs a little bit more light in front of her. Maybe what we'll do is, let's go from the side here. And pick our light. Move it here, and then let's just rotate it a little bit. There we go. That's better. And I still want to get rid of some of that glossiness. So what's up with that? Okay. Oops. Okay. I did the base color roughness. That's not what we want. We want specular roughness. That's where I made a mistake there. 0.6 there. Then that'll get rid of that. Looks like she's going through the ground there a little bit. Let's look at that. Is that just me? Oh. Somehow we lifted the background up a little bit here, so I need to pull that back down on the ground. Okay, so let's look at that. Okay, there we go. Now it's ready to render it out. Okay, hope that helped you. Thank you very much.